Hello, I'm Chris Newton and this is Bago Replay, the weekly show to bring you up to date with the latest news and reviews from BagoGames. Just before we start, I encourage you please to leave some comments, because I'd like to get this show a little more rounded out and have the little bit at the end, and that can't really happen if there's no comments. Now on with the news. First up, if you're similar to me and like to browse for media from the comfort of your own computer screen, the launch of a browser version of the PlayStation Store should get you a little excited, even more so if you're in North America, since you had to wait a little longer than I did over here in Europe. You'll need a PSN ID or a Sony Entertainment Network account, but after you find whatever piece of content you are looking for, it will be added to your My Downloads list for you to download to your Sony system of choice, either a PS3, PS Vita or PSP, next time you start it up. Here's the easy ways to spend your money. Go check out the new website at store.sonyentertainmentnetwork.com. Next up, the Wizards edition of Japanese RPG Ni no Kuni Wrath of the White Witch has been oversold by Namco Bandai, leading to some order cancellations. Ni no Kuni Wrath of the White Witch is the critically acclaimed collaboration between famed animation house Studio Ghibli and the developer Level 5, and as well as the full game, the Wizards edition contains exclusive DLC in the form of the Golden Might and Golden Drongo familiars, as well as a hardcover The Wizards companion book with over 300 pages, and the plush doll of Drippy, one of the game's central characters. Ni no Kuni's special edition was available exclusively through Namco Bandai's online shop, but Digital River, the e-commerce middleware provider connected to the shop, apparently experienced an error in its ordering system, which has led to some orders being delayed, some failing to process, and some being cancelled altogether due to the non-existent copies being sold. These things happen and it's crap, but you have to deal with it. Next up, Nintendo President Satoru Iwata said that yesterday's episode of Nintendo Direct was going to be monumental, and that he had some major announcements to share with the Nintendo gaming community. By Mario's mustache did Iwata deliver on his promise, and then some. Nintendo Direct got off to a slow start, with Iwata speaking about the success and the uniqueness of Miiverse, especially with the sense of community that Wii U owners have. This was followed with the announcement that Nintendo plans to roll out 2 system updates, one in the spring and the other in the summer, to bring new features to the system and for a mobile Miiverse app. While increasing the speed of launching software and increasing the speed to go back to the Wii U dashboard were mentioned, the biggest feature that will be added is the Virtual Console. Not only is the Virtual Console coming to the Wii U, but it will have gamepad support, which will be a very nice feature indeed. These early announcements, while nice to hear, are not really much to get excited about, and Iwata knew this. It was all part of his game plan. Get the dry stuff out of the way as quick as possible in order to give gamers what they want. Many detractors of Nintendo's new system has said that there are no games coming out for the system, and that Nintendo may be focusing too much on the Nintendo 3DS. Iwata heard the detractors and decided to bring out the big guns, including a new Yoshi game in the style of Kirby's Epic Yarn, Bayonetta 2, a HD remake of The Legend of Zelda The Wind Waker, the announcement of a new Mario Kart and a new Zelda, and more, included in the link below. About time, Nintendo. I have to say that I did buy a 3DS pretty much when it came out, and I only have one game on it, which is actually the 3D version of The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, which granted is amazing, but that is an old game, and I haven't got any other games for it because none of them have really interested me, except for Mario Kart. That's the only one that I will get that eventually. Next up, Atsushi Inaba, I hope I'm saying that right, the head of Platinum Games, has expressed his interest in purchasing the Darksiders video game series, but only at the right price. During the recent THQ bankruptcy auction, which I'll get onto after this, the publisher was stripped of its assets, and many of its games and associated assets were purchased by rival companies. However, THQ-owned development studio Visual Games, I hope I'm saying that right as well, the developer behind the 2 games in the Darksiders franchise, didn't find a buyer, with no bids being placed on it. I don't know how that happened, I love Darksiders. THQ has since issued a statement claiming that it would continue to try to find a suitable buyer for the studio, as well as other assets left unsold after the auction. But that there would be immediate job losses. Platinum Games is the developer behind the upcoming Metal Gear Rising Revengeance and Bayonetta 2, amongst others, and upon learning of the lack of bids for Visual Games and the Darksiders franchise, the Platinum Games boss posted the following message on Twitter, which was originally in Japanese. Oh man, in THQ's big sale looks like nobody's bought Darksiders. I'd love to buy that, if it was cheap. And finally, THQ's developers and many of its IPs are now heading to new owners, as the details of the auction of its assets have been revealed. After filing for bankruptcy late last year, THQ will soon be no more. No. As for which IP/developers went to which company, Relic is now with Sega, Volition and Metro IP are with Koch Media, if that's how you say that. Homefront has gone to Crytek, THQ Montreal and South Park The Stick of Truth is to go to Ubisoft, and Take-Two Interactive now has the yet to be announced Evolve. There are still a few parts of the company that haven't been sold, but THQ has stated that they will try their hardest to find appropriate buyers, but also makes no solid promises. Now on to this week's reviews. Tony reviewed Dark Souls Prepare to Die Edition for Xbox 360. He gave it an incredible score of 4.9, with a summary of Dark Souls is a game that just seems to get everything right. An artistic, challenging, rewarding experience that is close to flawless. I've seen it, I've heard amazing things about it, but I've just heard that it's incredibly hard, and those games annoy me quite a lot, so I probably wouldn't give it such a high score myself, but I have heard very good things. Next up, Aaron reviewed Corpse Party Book of Shadows for PS Vita. He gave it an excellent score of 4.5 with his summary. Corpse Party Book of Shadows is one of the greatest horror stories ever told, and it manages to surpass its predecessor at times. If you are even vaguely interested in horror, do yourself a favour and download Book of Shadows. Me and horror, they don't mix. No, don't like it. And finally, Mitch reviewed Devil May Cry for PS3. He gave an excellent score of 4.5 with his summary. Devil May Cry is the reboot the series was looking for. There are some mild problems that hinder it, but it is excellent nonetheless. We are very pleased with what the folks over at Ninja Theory and Capcom have crafted together. I have played almost all of the Devil May Cries, I think, at this point. Not sure if I've actually completed any of them, but I like them very much, and this game does look great. So they've changed the character again, but, whatever. There hasn't been another podcast this week, so this is pretty much it. So my question of the week is, what do you think about these companies that are going bankrupt? You've got THQ, Atari has recently gone bankrupt. Do you think this is just part of life, or that they should be getting more support or something? Please leave your thoughts in the comments below and they might be featured in the next replay. Also, from now on, the Grind Fellas will have a video every Monday, Wednesday and Friday, including any other videos from BagoGames. That's it for this week. If you could like the video, share it, or even favourite it, it would help us a lot. Remember, you can stay up to date by liking us on Facebook or following our Twitter. Links to all articles in this episode are in the description below. I've been Chris Newson, and I'll see you next time. Replay!